Hi, in this video, I'm going to talk about collaboration deployment model. The collaboration deployment models could generally be based on-premise type solution. They could be revolving around cloud-based environment, or of course, they could be hybrid environment. So let's take a moment and have a look at these three different type of options that you have available. And why would company choose one over other? Now, historically, when we are looking in an environment where everything was pretty much on premises, for the last 10 to 15 to 20 years, you probably have seen the concept of data centers, co-locations being built, where you would own a piece of all the equipments that you have for your infrastructure. So every single one of the different appliances, whether it was a telephone or whether it was any type of telecommunication product, when we're dealing with such thing, such as call manager or Unity connections, clusters, everything was either on a single building or possibly in a multiple building, but it was all on premise under your control. You owned it. The company either leased it or owned it right off the bat. There was nothing that was outsourced to a cloud. In fact, there were no cloud provider doing everything. So everything was controlled 100% internally, with an exception of being able to route calls over the PSTN, which was something the service provider used to provide. Now, all of these devices, including the routers that would be used, or even something like cube devices that would be used to route calls over the internet, over the PSTN, more precisely were controlled 100% within the organization. There is this clear boundary that exists right over there that separates the corporate network versus what is considered to be outside. Now, moving from that direction, a lot of services are now starting to get released as a service-based orientation, or a platform as services, or software as services, and so forth. All of this really is coming down to structure of things being hosted inside the cloud network and who owns it. So a couple of these examples would be something like WebEx Team. So WebEx Team is obviously is a hosted based solution. And in this case, Cisco will be responsible for all the hardware and the software that is generally providing what WebEx does. You as a customer will subscribe to it and just simply use it. You don't have to worry about upgrade. You don't have to worry about the cost of the network. You don't have to worry about buying racks or the cabling. All are managed by the cloud provider. So generally speaking, depending on the type of organization, you are probably not going to be either be exclusively on cloud or exclusively on premise, depending on the type of organization you are. Now, let's take an example. I'm in Canada, and in Canada, Canadian government has a restriction that says our health records cannot be stored on any cloud network. So that has to be done on and managed internally within the government's organization, even if it is dedicated for government. They're not supposed to put the data on another person's network. Now let's take a look at Amazon or Microsoft Azure. Both of them promise they have a most sophisticated network and secure this and secure that, but the policy of the government, the data cannot be off premises. So that's why they need to maintain their own data center. So they'll tend to stick to everything being on premise, if not everything, at least the backend. So the most of the government organization around the world, on-premise solution is still an ideal solution because they need to be in control of the data that protects our privacy. Whereas you may find a small organization like mine, VoiceBootcam, and I'm just a small one-man show with maybe one or two servers. So for me, it makes sense to put everything on the cloud. I don't have to worry about infrastructure. I don't have to worry about giving up one room for the data center. No air conditioning issue, no electrical issues. Simply don't have to put a capital investment to buy the servers. All I have to do is rent a server for like $10 a month, and I have a services which may cost me a little bit additional per month, depending on what I'm using it for. So they may start requiring some more appliance and products that are being hosted on premises. I may have some, I do have some equipment that are stored in my data center, which is physical, that I cannot put on the cloud because after going through the calculation, I realized it's not worth it. So it really depends on the type of organizations. So the whole idea of these different type of deployment model that exists within the collaboration is to for you and I to make a decision based on our business case. Now, take that one step further. Also bear in mind that when we start dealing with on-premise solution, I would mention that this may be a single building or it may be multiple building. So when you're deploying on-premise solutions, you have to look at things like distance or locations and all the other stuff. So all this thing has to be considered. So it is not a simple just saying, well, okay, there are three, choose any, mini, miny, mo, choose one, and let's get on with it. Now, there are certainly three different model, but which one you get to choose will determine your cost, your management, and in the future your expansion capability. If you choose to go for on-premise solution or a hybrid, it's totally up to you as long as it meets your business needs. So it's not like just because everybody is going beating their drum chest saying that cloud is going to take over that you have to go to cloud. No, there's going to be always on-premise network because of certain policies in place. So this really gives us a high value or overview of what different type of deployments are available. Now, as we start to get more and more in depth of these design and scalability factor and high availability, we will look at which one is going to be beneficial for our company. Now, on-premise deployment, which is where collaboration applications are deployed within the enterprise premises to provide voice and video data services. These applications such as Call Manager, IM Presence, Unity Connection, Cisco Meeting Server, and TMS. They can be sitting right about on-premises environment. Whereas cloud collaboration services will be delivered from the service provider to you over the internet, such as voice, video call, messaging, meeting servers. Services that are delivered from the cloud, such as Cisco WebEx Team, which can provide messaging services. Cisco WebEx Meeting can be used for conferencing. So depending on what you're using the services for, there are different products available from the cloud provider to accommodate your need. Now, you also need to understand that Cisco is not new into the cloud. Cisco has been doing what we call hosted based solution almost for the past 10 years ago. So service provider will deploy the call manager and they will rent it out based on users cases. So it's not new to Cisco. AWS may exist 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but Cisco has been doing this even beyond that. Now, then you have a hybrid deployment, which is integrating your on-premise network and your cloud. So a lot of companies realizing that, hey, maybe applications or servers that I need for my internal purposes, I will keep them on premise, but any web server that I need for my customer marketing, I will put them on the cloud. So you're kind of like separating the network and also utilizing the cloud infrastructure for facing the public, where internal is protected for internal data kind of communications. That is called hybrid. For example, you could have enterprise calling with the cloud messaging and conferencing, whereas calling portion will remain on site, but messaging and conferencing will be in the cloud. Or enterprise calling with the cloud calling and messaging, meaning everything is on the cloud, including the calling portion of it. So enterprise calling with cloud messaging and conferencing, where call manager, IM presence will be on site, Unity connection will be on site, but WebEx meeting will be used for IM and presence capability from the cloud side. Now, the licensing, when it comes to license, Cisco has been very, licensing is one of the most complicated topic within Cisco. As of version 12.0, Cisco has incorporated something called Cisco Smart License or Smart Software Manager SSM for management of organizations' license requirement, where your call manager will communicate with a Cisco website to import the license. Now, when it comes to license, Cisco Smart Software Licensing include Cisco hosted based SSM web portal, where application will obtain the license entitlement. Now, customer purchase license, which are automatically applied to the customer account, smart account, and obviously on-premise application like Call Manager will then communicate with that account to register and obtain the license requirement. There are following applications that use the Cisco Smart Licensing: Cisco Unified Communication Manager, IM and Presence, Cisco Session Management Edition, Unity Connection, Emergency Responder. Every time you install a Call Manager application, it comes with 90 days of license for non-compliance, during which time you could test all the functionality, get your environment ready, and test it before you go live. But at some point, you're going to have to license the platform. Now, license comes in the following two categories. You got User Connect license and Workspace license. User Connect license, or UCL, provide licensing on a per user basis for individual application, including application server, software, user license, soft client, and so and so. Depending on the type of devices and the number of devices that you require, Cisco UCL is available in either Essential for license, Basic license, Enhanced license, and Enhanced Plus version license. So you may purchase Basic license for all the employee and Enhanced Plus for all the executive, which will have more features. Now, the other type of licenses that are available is called Cisco Unified Workspace license, or COOL license. Provide the most popular licensing and cost-effective licensing in a simple package. There are two versions of COOL license: Professional Edition and Standard Edition. Professional Edition include all the features from Standard Edition plus unlimited participant in a video conference with personal multi-party video at no additional cost. Now, that's pretty much all about the deployment and the licensing. And hopefully you have a proper understanding about the three type of data center that you can build or deploy your solutions.